was a winter evening when firelight drew long shapes on the ground. And a wandering man found company in a creature older than stories. The man had been walking for hours, boots stiff with frost, breath curling upward in pale, drifting threads. The satyr watched him from the edge of the forest, half shadow, half legend, horns rising like quiet question marks. The creature studied the man's trembling hands and the cold written across his face, then stepped forward with a cautious kindness. A small fire was lit between them, his flames cracking open the silence. The man knelt close, lifting his hands to the glow. He leaned in, exhaling gently over his fingers, warming them with his own breath. The satyr tilted his head, curious, watching the steam drift upward like a fragile offering. Some things appear harmless until the second act begins. When the fire softened the night, the satyr offered a bowl filled with roots and winter greens. The man accepted, holding it gratefully. But when the food proved too hot, he raised the bowl to his lips and blew across its surface, cooling it with a sharp, deliberate breath. The steam scattered, the forest seemed to pause, the satyr's eyes narrowed, not in anger but in calculation. Moments earlier the man's breath had warmed his hand, now it chilled his food. The same mouth, the same warmth, the same broth, used for two opposite purposes. The satyr's tail flicked once in quiet suspicion. Ode in firelight, how quickly certainty wavers when one face carries two meanings. The satyr stepped back, watching the man with a slow, measured caution. Your breath, he said quietly, warms the cold and cools the hot. What kind of creature needs both from the same wind? The flames crackled softly, awaiting an answer. The man did not know how to give. For the first time, the man sensed the weight of the satyr's stare. He tried to laugh it off, but the sound rang thin, more brittle than winter branches. His breath, the simple human breath, had betrayed him, revealing a dual nature he never thought to hide. Two directions in one gesture rarely inspired trust. The satyr rose slowly, hooves pressing into cold soil. The fire cast long shadows across the lines of his face. I share my fire, he said, with those who show one truth, but I cannot sit beside someone whose breath blows both ways. He stepped back into the trees, horns disappearing like fading crescents of moon. Oh, wandering night, count the cost of double winds. Warmth turned to warning, comfort turned to doubt. people like this, minds that warm when pleading, cool when threatened, shifting shape depending on which face they wish to please. The world tolerates many flaws, but rarely the ones that point in opposite directions. The man sat by the failing fire, feeling its heat surrender to the dark. His hands trembled again, yet he did not breathe upon them. He stared into the embers, understanding slowly that the satyr had walked away, not from danger, but from inconsistency. Some beings fear teeth, others fear a mask. Better one honest breath than two that contradict. Better a single nature, even flawed, than a shifting one no soul can trust. Around him the forest resumed its quiet work. Branches creak, snow loosened from high limbs, and a faint wind moved through the clearing, like a creature reminding him of the difference between change and contradiction. The fire shrank to glowing coals. The man stood, pulling his coat tight, and began to walk again. Not warm, not fed, but changed in a way he could not name. Some lessons burn quietly, some simply withdraw. And the night closed around him, cold but honest, an honesty he had not shown, and was now forced to meet.